Yesterday, the testing for Counter-Strike 2 went live, and while at the moment it's mostly existing Counter-Strike players that are getting in, eventually the floodgates are going to open up and everyone's going to be able to test it out. In this video, we're going to go over 5 tips that are going to help you out if you're totally new to the Counter-Strike franchise and also haven't played a game like Valorant, because some of the mechanics will translate if you have played Valorant. Now, if you're a returning player, you're also welcome to watch, but some of these tips may be a little bit entry level for you. The first tip is the way that the shooting works in Counter-Strike. For the most part, moving and shooting is not good in this game. Now, there are guns you can get away doing it with. For example, using the Glock, you'll see a lot of people kind of run and gun, or various SMGs, especially if you're shooting someone that's closer range. However, if you're using the main weapons like the AK or the M4, moving and shooting will mean that your gun is extremely inaccurate. So now that you know that, what is the quickest way to stop moving so that you can get your accurate shots? And that is what they call the counter strafe. The counter strafe is very, very basic. Normally in a game, if you were running left and you wanted to stop, you would just let go of the A key. However, doing this in Counter-Strike means your character will slide a little bit and you'll still have that movement penalty. So the quickest way to get rid of this, as soon as you let go of the directional key that you're running, you're just going to tap the key in the opposite direction. So if you're running left and holding A, you'll just tap D real quick. That'll stop your character on the spot, and then you can instantly start shooting and be accurate. This is how you'll see people peek corners in full speed and still be able to accurately one-tap you because they properly counter-strafed. It's very, very, very important. The next tip is spray patterns. Now, unlike Call of Duty or other games like that, where you can visually see the recoil, Counter-Strike is totally different. Your crosshair isn't going to necessarily show you where the recoil is going. So what you can do if you want to learn these spray patterns is just walk up and shoot at a wall. Now in CS2, there's also a setting called visual recoil you can turn on that will let you see the recoil and kind of get used to it. Though as of today, I'm still kind of recommending people leave that off once you get a hang of what you're doing. Once you have a general idea of the spray patterns, you can start to utilize these when you're shooting at people so that your bullets are a little bit more controlled. Every gun in Counter-Strike has its own spray pattern, so make sure to test them all out and get the general idea of how they work, and then you'll kind of build that muscle memory up over time. Another super important tip in a game like Counter-Strike is crosshair placement. Now this is important in FPS games in general, but even more important in something like Counter-Strike because of the one-tap potential. Basically, just make sure your crosshair is where you think an enemy might pop out. If you're walking up toward a corner, keep your crosshair at head level around that corner so that if the enemy peeks out, you can just tap them in the head without having to adjust your aim in a massive way. If you're aiming at the wall or you're aiming at the floor, you're going to have to flick a lot further than if you were already at head level and only have to micro adjust to be able to hit them. The next tip has to do with when and when not to buy. Counter-Strike is all based around the economy system, and learning when you should and shouldn't buy is something that ends up being very important. Intricacies of when you should and shouldn't buy can get pretty deep, and a lot of it depends on what your team is doing, how much money the enemy team has, and a whole bunch of other factors. But today I'm just going to give you the basics. In the pistol round, make sure you're buying stuff. Either buy a pistol or a defuse kit or armor, and in the second round, if you win the pistol round, also make sure you're spending your money. After that, the most important thing is to just buy when your teammates are buying. It's not very helpful if you're the only one on the team and you spent all your money on a full loadout if the next round when they buy you don't have any money. So pay attention to your teammates' money, buy when they're buying, don't buy when they're not buying, save when they're saving, etc. And eventually you can kind of learn when and when not to buy, and you can start giving this information to your teammates so that you guys can all be on the same page. Now, as a little bonus tip, Counter-Strike has a lot of guns, and if you're totally new, the main weapons you want to be using is the AK when you're on T side, the M4 when you're on CT side, and the AWP obviously if you want to snipe. Now there are a variety of other weapons that you'll use in eco scenarios, but those are the main 3 guns you're going to be purchasing when you're on a full buy. And the last tip we're going to be going over today is specifically new to Counter-Strike 2, and that is the smoke grenades. The smokes in CS2 cover a little bit more area, but the big difference now is that you can sort of interact with them. If you shoot into them, you'll see that they kind of disperse a bit and you can see through them, which can be very helpful, but even more helpful if you throw a grenade into a smoke, it's going to completely disperse it for a little bit, allowing you to see through it. This is something that can really come in handy, as you can use a grenade to pop a smoke and be able to see right through it when maybe your opponents weren't expecting that. Anyways, those are 5 tips that are going to help you out if you're new to Counter-Strike 2. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. And with that said, I will see you all next time.